Number 69 on our house inspection checklist is referring to windows. If any of the glass is broken, get it repaired as soon as possible. If you can't repair it, you don't got the money, you can always put a couple of pieces of cardboard on each side and tape the cardboard to the glass, something to contain the damage. Don't just leave the glass loose to where someone can, hey, what's this? And then they got their cut. So, and of course, clean up any damage. I can't tell you how many times I've seen glass on the inside or outside of a home. It's been there for a few months or a few years because no one's ever cleaned it up. The window was broken, the repairman fixed it, but nobody ever cleaned this stuff up. All it takes is for you to step on one piece of glass. You're down at the hospital with $1,000 hospital bill when all you needed to do was spend 2 or 3 minutes with a broom cleaning this stuff up, or a vacuum. This stuff just doesn't make any sense to me. Another thing you need to look out for is any mold, mildew, or corrosion on your windows. If you have aluminum windows, they could be heavily corroded. Moisture eventually will corrode these babies. So if you have a constant supply of water on these windows, after a while they can rust, corrode, and then they need to be replaced. Another problem that aluminum windows have, and I've seen this a lot when I replace them, is the bottom corners where the window frames butt together. These areas usually leak. They're not sealed with any type of caulking or sealant. You're talking about, this is before the time of all these problems. They made the aluminum windows, you put them in your house, and then they created the damage. This must have been job security for people in the future, and hopefully that's not the case. That wasn't their thinking, but this is what it's done. Here's what happens. The water gets into the frame, and then there are drainage relief holes that let water out of the front of the frame. Now, so the water will sit in the bottom of the frame. Any moisture comes in from the rain or anything, it sits on the bottom of the frame and is supposed to leak out of these little holes here. If they're plugged, the water's not going to be leaking out. So make sure that these holes aren't plugged. Almost every window has some type of drainage plug on it, and they're just little square notches, probably 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch wide and maybe 1/8 of an inch tall. And even if they don't get plugged on aluminum windows, you'll still get enough moisture in to where it'll seep through the cracks. And this is at the corner of the window, the bottom corner. The water will leak into the windows, through the windows, and then it will actually dampen or create a moisture problem for the wood framing. After a while, you're either going to have wood rot, mold, or termites, except it's going to be underneath the drywall, the plaster, or and the windows. So I just took one out a while ago, and there was all sorts of termite damage done to it, to the bottom of the framing. Both of the framing trimmers, wood trimmers, needed to be replaced, and the entire bottom sill with the cripples or the studs underneath the window framing plate. So keep that in mind. If you got aluminum windows, if you've got vinyl windows, that's usually not a problem. They're sealed. So, but if you have old aluminum windows, you could have a problem. And again, this is damage. You're not going to rip the drywall out just to inspect this damage. If you notice a lot of moisture or mold, or the drainage slots are plugged up, this is all stuff you need to maintain so that the damage doesn't get any worse. If you own a house, you should inspect it regularly. But how can you inspect a home if you don't know what to look for? If you're not looking for a complicated checklist or something that wasn't written in a language that you can't understand anyway, do yourself a favor and visit this website today. The most valuable investment you have must be protected and inspected.